I want to share with you the story of this little kid from whom I learned a very valuable lesson. I was at a church a few years ago, mourning the death of my friend's father. Everyone was quiet, and from the corner of my eye, I watched as some kids played outside. I noticed this ledge where these kids kept running over. Back and forth, they continued on doing so, playing. And I remember thinking to myself that this can't be too safe. It is only a matter of time before a kid would fall flat on their face. Sure enough, within a few seconds of me thinking this, one of the kids falls smack on his face. He hits the ground so hard it makes me cringe. Now I want to ask you, have you recently fell flat on your face? Figuratively speaking, of course. Have you fallen flat on your face in your personal life or in your professional life? What has been your immediate course of action when you took a fall? Did you cry internally? Did you feel down about it? Did you choose to remain down and have an eye open, hoping that someone would actually notice you and comfort you? Did you get up and really act out the pain? Oh, everyone look at me, I'm in pain, look at me, look at me. Feel sorry for me, feel sorry for me. What did you do? Because when this kid fell, his reaction was this. He got up, looked around, knew that no one was taking notice, shook himself off, ran towards the other kids, and he continued to play with a big fat smile on his face. It was as if nothing had happened. I remember thinking to myself, wow, what an attitude. Back to the funeral. The service continued and these kids kept running in and out. All I hear is smack, and what do you know? The same kid hits the ground face first again. It's as if he had a talent for doing this. Now I'm thinking to myself, surely this would be a full-blown cry, enough to interrupt the funeral from proceeding. But no, he got up, he noticed that no one was looking around, shrugged himself off, and he continued to play with his friends. This time, he had an even bigger smile on his face. I was amazed, to say the least, but I learned something very valuable that day. I learned to develop the kid's attitude, a winning one. How often do we forget the speed with which we used to get back up when we took our falls as kids? It used to be very simple, you may say. Well, it is still very simple. Nothing has changed. You fall down, you get back up. There is no secret behind it. There is no special way of doing it. It's simply a choice one makes, a choice we all have made growing up. The kid knew that having his face on the floor would not allow him to go and have the fun he wanted to with his friends. He knew from such a tender age, just as you did growing up, that you needed to pick yourself up if you wanted to continue on playing. If only more people had this kid's attitude. Unfortunately, I see this attitude diminishing as many grow older. They take their falls too seriously. They spend so long dragging themselves on the ground. They play victim, hoping to get the attention of others. Often, with all the negative comments from the surroundings, people take what is said to them personally. They start listening to what other people have to say, and as a result, they get tired of picking themselves up. They believe they can't do it anymore. They become more hesitant. They live a fearful existence, never ever playing to their potential. If you know me and have followed me for years, then you would be familiar with one of my falls in the past, where we lost everything in the financial crisis. And when I say everything, I mean everything. We went from great living to being homeless. I couldn't afford a cup of coffee, flat broke. That was an example of falling flat on your face. What I find ironic though is when I look back is that yes, it was hard to take a fall. It did hurt, but it seemed like those around me found it much more difficult to deal with it than I did. Truth be told, after spending a few days coming to terms with my financial loss, I thought of that little kid who fell face first. I remembered his beaming smile and simply chose to work with the same attitude that I had known as a kid. You take a fall, you get back up. Even my mum said it in the most simplest of ways. Son, you've done it before, you'll do it again. Nothing will come of you with your head down. Get back up, get out there, and do it. Just this time, make sure you don't get us homeless. And the truth was, it was that simple. I fell, I got back up. Yes, we went through a lot, but in my mind, it was a simple 2-step process. Take a fall, and the next step is, get back up. If that little kid could do it, I could as well. And so can you. For every fall that we've had, we can all agree on one thing, for sure. That if you're watching this program, then it means that you've had to get back up after a fall to make it here. As an adult, things are no different. What you have to do is very simple. Dust yourself off after every fall. The world is your playground. Get out there and play. So what if you fall? You simply get back up. My team and I would love to hear from you. Your thoughts, your questions, your experiences, and your breakthroughs. Until we meet in person, get inspired, get informed, and get going.